Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to another episode of G100 Global Networking, coming together to present to you a message in regards to International Women's Day. And today we want to focus on women and violence. This event is in three stages. The Spanish event has already happened a week ago. This week we have the English event, and we will have also the Portuguese event, so that we have a large amount of people who can follow what we are doing and can also understand where we are coming from and what we are doing, what we are being activists of at G100 Global Networking. So welcome. Today, I am here, I'm presenting, and I am here with Mar. Mar, who is the global chair of Global Networking, G100. And we have Kubra as well, who is the Belgium chair of G100 Global Networking. So today I'm going to start already because we are not going to go into back and forth here. We're going to go straight into the subject. And today I want to bring to you this attention on women and violence, because as we are celebrating women, we need to also understand what are the challenges that women are facing in our world today, and how we can help and how we can support, what we can do, and not necessarily as you have to brand the card, but you can do kind activism and you can do things as an individual. So I want to talk about that. Violence against women in the United Kingdom, for example, is a subject that demands our attention and our action, and also our commitment to change. Every day, women across the UK face various forms of violence, from domestic abuse to sexual assault and harassment. And these are not just statistics. These are real women whose lives are shattered, whose voices are silenced, and whose rights are violated. This is happening every single day. And as we are doing this event, it's also happening. Thank you for joining us, Joy and Jitendra. I want to, recently, there's been a case in the UK, which I want to come back about. Recently, there's been the case of Diana Abbott. She's an MP, and it shed a light onto other forms of violence. So as I mentioned already, domestic violence or sexual assault, harassment, but there's other kind of violence. And I want to talk about racism. So Diana Abbott is quite a well-known figure into the UK politics. And recently there's been comments made towards her because of her color of her skin. And I feel like this violence, this kind of I want to say micro attack, even though it was done in public, and even though everybody's talking about it, is on the news and everything, but it's a micro attack that women face every single day, every single minute, every single hours, everywhere in the UK. I'm sure it is in other places as well, but as I am living in the UK, I'll talk about here. So racism, it is a form of violence that inflicts deep wounds and scars that they are not visible. You cannot see what is creating, but it's creating a lot of damage. And this is also a reminder that violence against women, it intersects other forms of aggressions. So it's not just the physical side, it's not just what we can see, but it's also what we can't see and what happens after. So the struggles of these women of colors, women like me, that endure this every single day. And I think we have to recognize that violence against women it can be psychological, emotional, but it's also systemic. And the fear that grips a woman as she's walking home alone at night, or it could be the intimidation that silences her voice in the workplace. It could be the inequality that denies her opportunity to advance in her work as well. And this form of racism targets her simply for being who she is. And this is what happened with Diana Abbott, and this is the reason why I wanted to talk about it. Now, talking about this is got quite a dark, a dark start to here, but we are here, and it means there's hope. The fact that we are here together, the fact that we are coming together to make a difference, to stand up against violence in all its form against women, and to create a society where every woman feels safe, respected and valued. I think the fact that we are here, the fact that we are doing this is a form of education, is teaching ourselves, other people who might not have the ability to make those decisions, but do need to understand that by doing this, we are bringing more respect. We are changing the way people are seeing every woman, not just white woman or not just Asian woman, but every woman in a way that is respectful and where they are given values. And that's the reason why we're here. So I think it would be nice if we could do more things in terms of legislations and laws, but all of it starts with the individuals. And this is the reason why we're here. So thank you very much for listening to me ramble on for 7 minutes. And I really hope that you took something out of what I said. So I'm going to pass on, if I consider the mic, to my dear colleague Belinda, who is here with us, and then she will go on to tell you about what she thinks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening. It's already evening in Kenya. Yes.
Good evening.
And, I'm so grateful. We have power outage all over the country. Yes, so that is why I got in late, but I hope I'm pardoned. So this is a topic that is very dear to me. That is violence against women, especially intimate partner violence. It is something that I have experienced. I like showing. I have some marks here that I experienced when I was back in campus. I was in a very violent relationship. And for a very long time, it is something that I didn't understand, because so many women go through what I went through. But because we have seen our mothers go through the same, we have seen our aunties, our grandfathers, our grandmothers, our relatives or our neighbors. So it has become the norm. We didn't think that there could be a better way of handling issues. So many women go through the same, and they keep on staying in those relationships because they don't know any other way out. They don't know better. So today I want to join different women all over the world, and I also want to join the men who are here to support us to end violence against women, especially the physical violence, the physical form of violence. We have economic violence as well. Women go through a lot of economic violence. They are not allowed to access their bank accounts. I've seen scenarios whereby women earn money and give everything in form of salary to their husband, including their ATM card. And it is not a joke. If you are not dancing to the tune of your partner, then sometimes it might end up to a divorce simply because you have refused to conform to the patterns of your culture and tradition. Another form of violence that I have experienced or I have seen is psychological violence. Psychological violence whereby someone is tortured, they are not allowed to speak about it because the culture shuns women who speak out. So you suffer in silence, and the more you suffer, the more you keep on passing that trauma to the next generation. Anytime you're about to speak out, you're told a woman's place is in the kitchen. You're not supposed to speak about the problems that you're going through in your family. So we end up harboring a lot and bottling up a lot of issues that we are going through, and we are psychologically tortured over and over again. We pass down this to our children pass them through to their children, and the cycle continues. So some of the ways that I have used to save myself, because no one is coming to save you, I decided to go through a course on trauma healing. So that I could heal myself. For me to help others to heal, I have to heal myself first. So I've gone through trauma healing with American Trauma Healing Institute. I've also done another course on psychological first aid with Johns Hopkins University to help women who go through psychological violence, economic violence, and even IPV, and enable them to just say no, let us end violence against women. So I'm very grateful for this platform, and I believe that with such kind of talks, we'll be able to help women to speak out. Even in our neighboring country, Southern Sudan, women are still not allowed to speak before men. They might be having very good contributions to say, but they are not allowed to speak before men. So this is a very good platform for women to change the world, and start by changing their homes, because you cannot change the world before you change your home. Thank you so much. I pass back the mic back to Patience.
Thank you so much, Belinda, and thank you so much for doing your case. You know, there's no better way for someone who has been in a situation like that could send a message, a real message. And no, I disagree with you. You're not alone. You're not alone. We need to create this idea that women are not alone. That they are with men. Also, we have Jitendra Isbarastar. Welcome, Jitendra. He's our global advisor for India. He's a champion for women rights, and we have many of these men that are there to support us, that are there to protect us. It's a difference for what is gender equality, and that's why I wanted to separate what is gender equality, but what is violence. Violence is a different chapter, and also in terms of difference, ideological difference, that you could see it in policies, especially in public policies, and what is gender, you cannot find it in violence. In fact, here, you see, we have UK, Spain, Belgium, India, Nigeria. Welcome, Joe Amore, a wonderful lawyer that is giving us generously her time to G100 network. We are going back to you shortly. So all these countries came together, all these people, these advisors, lawyers. We have a diverse professional profile, experts on domestic violence, like Faith, Jitendra in what is business, and we see how important is to this complex multidisciplinary approach is so important. And very shortly, in a few minutes, I will show you my ideas of what had to be done. First of all, Global Networking Win is celebrating the Women's International Day, but we decided to celebrate the whole month. And we would like to say violence to women, we are going to smile because we are trying to find a solution. And we are in the correct path, and we wanted to deliver a message that is productive, that is effective, that we could keep it, as Belinda said before, not to give this negative message to the future generation. So this is what we are doing right here. But let's see what is going out. And then we go, you see, all of a sudden we go to the black and gray scenario of global data. Think of this is very important. Almost 5 women per hour are being killed. Most of them, they are partners. They are part of the families. 1 in 3 have experienced violence in their life. This is too much. You know? We need to address this from a global perspective. So national realities are important, but what is violence and what is related to a family environment, this is a matter of creating a global rule. Prevention. I did say prevention because I am so passionate with this that we commit mistakes when we are trying to doing it with this rush and with this strength. And first of all, education for adults. We need to educate adults, not just youth. We say we educate youth. Yes, we have to educate youth to have this integration with women and men. But first of all, we also have to educate adults, training for adults on how they need to relate in society. And for that, we need this dialogue, women, men, that we already implemented. We are not a women empowerment group and just activists for women against men. No, we try to integrate it. We cannot get to a point where men are not integrated in this debate. Early diagnosis, I say, because I think it's a disease from the societies. That's why we need to talk about a diagnosis. This early detection is when we need, like Jitendra will develop as well, what is on business. In business, when they are working, the private sector have to enter in complicity because they are working, they are developed certain attitudes and behaviors that could be a sign of a family situation of violence. And raising awareness is important, from public campaigns to go to awareness in the social media. Social media is very important to create this awareness. And then is when we find that we change the colors. And we, in that colors, is when we integrate all global policies, national policies, civil society, and individual awareness. And first of all, what I mean by global policies, for example, respect, that is this initiative from United Nations on different aspects of empowerment for women. Then applying this global framework to the national policies. It's completely different, as I said before, from gender equality. So we don't have a debate, or we shouldn't have a debate on ideological aspects. Even what is in terms of religious, as it taken as a boundary, is not. Sorry for that. This is not a problem. It's not that the Muslims are more violent than the Christian societies. Violence is everywhere. So we need to make sure that this is not trying to make it as a religion. Any religions allow violence against women. So let's be certain about that. Civil society, we need to move forward. And just with NGOs, organizations that represent the civil society is not enough. We need to be, as we are now, She100, that is civil society, pure civil society, not representing anyone, representing ourselves. Because this is where you find these micro influencers. And these micro influences is what really make a change. And individually awareness. Sometimes we forget that victims don't know that there are victims. They think that they're dependent on their families, that they have to protect their child, and the best way to protect their child and protect their families is to get rid of that situation of violence that is perfect to grow violence in the kids, because it's what they see, and not all the people have the capacity, or their societies develop enough in terms of mental health to say this is wrong. What I live in my family is wrong, so I need to change it. So individual awareness from social media, it helps, because individuals could enter, and if they send a message against violence, they will also capture this idea. And finally, networking. You see, the colors change completely, and we came in pink. What is harmony? What we do networking, because we do believe that through networking, different profiles of women and men coming together, influences in the different areas, in the different environments, is what really makes a change. So from now, we are going to address 3 aspects: physical violence, what is psychological violence, and what is economic violence. Are different, but are the same when it's in terms of being a threat. So, Patient, I pass to you.
Hi. Sorry, I'm back. So I would like to go to Jitendra, our global advisor for India. Just a little bit of an introduction for Jitendra before you take the mic. Basically, Jitendra is an award winner, an HR leader and consultant. He's a global speaker and a women's human rights defender. He for She Champion is the advisory member, Global Advisory Council for G100 Global Networking Wing under the auspice of the All Ladies League. Thank you, Jitendra. So what would you say your views are, your views or even what you feel that needs to be understood or educated to for others in terms of psychological violence? Can you hear us?
Yeah, namaste everyone.
Namaste.
So far as this psychological or emotional violence is concerned, first of all, I would like to tell all men to change their mentality towards women and fight misogyny. They should also take a pledge to do nothing which causes harassment to women in everyday life. Having said that, emotional violence or emotional psychological violence, if we ask any woman 3 questions and the woman replies in the affirmative to any of these 3 questions, I can definitely say that she has faced emotional abuse in her marriage. What are those 3 questions? Does or did your husband ever say or do something to humiliate you in front of others? Did or does your husband ever threaten to hurt or harm you or someone close to you? And thirdly, does or did your husband ever insult you or make you feel bad about yourself? If any of these answers is yes, then she has undergone emotional abuse. And this is essentially, it goes unreported and unnoticed, this emotional abuse thing. Emotional violence has been proven to be acutely detrimental to women's mental and physical health. And research supports the claim that women who face only emotional violence have higher odds of physical and mental health, ill health than women who face only physical violence. Emotional violence is acknowledged to be a precursor to physical assault in heterosexual relationships. Also, when women try to end or leave abusive relationships, emotional violence and controlling behavior are better predictors of the inability to leave such toxic relationships than physical violence. It has been documented that over time, men use emotional abuse as a powerful and controlling tactic to scare women into continuing in abusive relationships. So, emotional abuse is, according to me, the worst form of domestic violence, I would say, because it also involves physical violence and, like you said, economic violence. So that is my views on the emotional violence. Now, should I go with the physical?
No, thank you, Jitendra. We're gonna ask. We're gonna ask. I was gonna ask Joy. Yeah, Joy. Hello, Joy. How are you? Thank you for coming and joining us today. So I'm just gonna quickly check. So I just wanted to introduce Joy before we ask her the question. So Joy is an HR consultant. She's also a talent acquisition specialist and a strategic partner for organizational growth, an advocate against gender-based violence. Thank you so much, Joy, for being here from Nigeria. So, Joy, what are your views? What are your views, and what are maybe what you want to contribute in terms of psychological and emotional violence against
Okay,
women?
hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. It's afternoon here in Nigeria. Good afternoon to everyone. Sorry I joined late. I had a little bit of network issues here. Yeah, so we're discussing the all-important topic, which is violence against women. And like we all know, it is one of the most persistent and devastating human rights violation, not just globally, but also here in Nigeria. For Nigeria is a patriarchal society, and it has its deep roots in traditions and norms, which actually enable these violations. Let me put it that way. For Belinda, I will take her from where Belinda spoke. She talked about intimate partner violence, and I mean, we cannot talk about it enough. Intimate partner violence is one that has been on for years, and Nigeria is also not an exception. Going by the strong cultural practices that we have, that, from when you are a girl, growing up as a girl child, you're being subjected to the male folk. I mean, you're being trained up in such a way that it's as if you have to reduce yourself for the men to be increased, for them to achieve their aim. You are seconded. So I would like to give an example. I had a friend of mine who some weeks back had to call on an emergency. Her partner had beaten her brutally, broken her wrist, and she had marks all over her body. And also, it was really bad because she couldn't call for help. I asked her why she didn't go to the police station to go and report, at least to protect her sanity and also to deter her spouse from further bodily harm. But funny enough, her sister would not agree to that because we are told that you have to keep enduring for the sake of your children. You have to keep enduring because to them, you are not the only one in such a situation. So the traditional practices in Nigeria encourages you to, endure the pain, endure the violence. It is part of the culture here. And that is what we're trying to challenge, those strong biases that makes it look impossible for women to actually attain total freedom. I mean, if your intimate partner or your partner in a relationship continues to batter you, either physically or verbally, or economically, because you have some situations like this example I've given where the spouse would not allow the woman, the wife, to work because he wants to subdue her. He wants to be able to control her. It's a form of social control where they feel like if the woman...
Joe, sorry to interrupt you, Joe, but keep at that word. Keep it that for the second question, okay? For psychological economy, keep it that with you.
Okay, sorry. Let me just maintain the.
No. But I love that passion. I love that professionalism. So just keep it the idea, and we pass now to Belinda on what is physical domestic violence, and then we start with the psychological, and we come back again to you, Joe. Thank you so much, Belinda.
Okay.
Do you want to add anything more from the physical? Yeah.
Oh, this is sorry. So this was the psychological and emotional violence. We're now going into physical violence.
Belinda.
Yes. It is my turn to ask questions to Jitendra because Kubra is not here. So I'll move straight to Jitendra. a lot of women go through physical violence. I don't know whether this is still happening back in India, but here in Africa, so many women, either they have a black, it's called a black eye, they have black eyes, they have broken wrists, just as Joy has indicated. So what are you, as one of our denim partners and our advisors globally, aiming to do in support of men to end physical violence? Because for violence to occur, there has to be two people. So how are you going to support men to end physical violence?
I think one way, yes, one way of doing this, stopping this violence would be early diagnosis of the man. The woman should be able to understand whether he really cares for her and is concerned for her. And when I say concerned, when I am concerned for someone, say my daughter, then I am literally afraid of losing her, whether it's by death or by separation, whatever. In the case of husband wife, it will be separation. So if I am really concerned for her, I will care for her. And if I care for her, then love will naturally flow towards her. Same thing for the husband, it should be for the wife. But in India, most of the married life is not very happy, and men have always abused women. I will not say 100%, but majority of them, according to the statistics of the National Crime Records Bureau, it's almost 5 lakhs complaints which were registered last in 2022. And most of these crimes were cruelty by husband or his relatives. So once the woman has realized that she cannot continue in the relationship, she should be strong enough to part ways. But here, one thing more, in India, there's a different situation. Unless she has got the parent support, she will not normally dare to walk out of the marriage. That is another problem. So it is for the parents also to support their daughters in such situations. But rarely do we find that, because here once they marry, they just say now it is how you live with him, you adjust, you accommodate, whatever you do. So the parents have to be very, very aware, and of course, the girl has to be very smart to understand whether he really likes her or loves her. And that alone can minimize at least, because once you walked away, he will have no. Like Joy was telling, they will not also allow you to work. If you are in a job, they will not allow you to work. And if they allow, they will want your entire salary, because they say that I have allowed you to work, that's why you're getting salary. If I did not allow, you would not get. So I have a right over your salary. I have a right to control your salary so that he can exploit more. So that thing has to, addressed very fast. And this has to be done by the woman herself. Parents have a very strong role, and law, of course, is there. But as you know, in India, it takes a very long time. And unless enforced, I don't think a law is a law unless enforced meticulously. Just like a bell is no bell till you ring it, a law is no law till you enforce it.
Yes.
So that's one way of.
Thank you so much. Those are very strong points there. And from your pieces of advice, what I've taken out of that is that it really takes strength to end a relationship, especially a violent relationship. So women need to stand out and be strong and end relationships that would be detrimental to their lives. And also fathers, because you are a father figure, fathers need to support their daughters all the way. If it is a relationship that is making your daughter to be in issues, then you can support your daughter to get out of that relationship, and also support her to learn how to stand on her own when it comes to taking care of her finances, as opposed to handing the salary over to the husband simply because the husband allowed her to work. It doesn't work that way. Yes, so thank you so much, Jitendra, for that. I want to ask a question to Joy, who is our advocate, just my neighbor here in Nigeria. Joy, now that you advocate a lot and you're also a HR consultant, and some of the physical violence also happen at work. I've seen scenarios whereby bosses treat their supervisees very badly, and because the boss might be a male or he's a man, there's nothing that will be done to him, or there's no precautions, or there are no policies that have been put in place to support women who work under men. So as a HR consultant, what advice would you give women who are being supervised by male bosses and are going through these forms of violence, especially physical violence?
First of all,
Sorry, I could not get your question. Can you repeat it?
Hello? Yeah?
Yes, Joe, go ahead, please. Yes.
Okay, so first of all, my advice would be to speak out. I think the culture of silence is one that has impeded any form of success in the area of gender equality. Most of the time, women are, they are subservient. It's difficult for them to speak out because they are thinking, oh, if I speak out, I'm going to be victimized, or I will lose my job. And jobs are hard to get. So how do I get another job? How do I fend? So in such a scenario, they tend to accommodate such advances or such violence to them at work. My advice would be to speak out. You can't get help if you don't speak out. You need to raise your voice and cry out for help, and help will actually come. And I'm also advocating for revised policies. I mean, the Nigerian labor law, sorry to say, does not particularly protect the employee. And most of the employees do not even know their rights, what is expected of them, and what the labor law provides for them, what they are meant to do, what is their responsibility. So it is very imperative that such an employee understands her rights as an employee of that organization. When you know your rights, then you know where to draw the line. You know what you ought to do. But if you are ignorant of your rights and you are ignorant of your responsibilities, you tend to accommodate whatever is thrown at you in the name of trying to keep your job. You do not have to keep your job at the expense of your sanity and at the expense of your integrity. You can speak out. You can make a change, and by speaking out, you even help other workers and other female employees from going through the same cycle. Most of these employers who do this often, feel that they are more powerful. They can do whatever they want to do and get away with it because they feel like they are economically empowered to do that, and that the Nigerian state will not do anything even if you speak out. So the first thing to do is speak out. When you stand your ground and say no to such advances, to such violence, because the truth is, if you have to make a change usually is not comfortable. We need to get uncomfortable with being comfortable with rubbish that is being thrown at us, with such acts that are not humane enough. I've worked in an organization where I have had my bosses make sexual advances to me. And the moment you begin to reject those advances, they victimize you. they victimize you, you know, with regards to your job. They see everything wrong with your job. They look for loopholes and they try to kick you out. So you must be courageous enough to be able to stand your ground and protect your sanity. Because the truth is, such things affect you psychologically. So you need to be able to stand, know your rights, and, you know, speak out and cry out for help. And
Thank you.
also the revised policies, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joy. Like everything you said, I just had like mental vision of everything you were saying. And it's true, what I can take from this is that often people do not have, like we've seen in several ways, the education or the power, the confidence to be able to speak up for themselves and to come out of situations like the ones you've mentioned. And I think this is where, as well as a community, we can also support other people around us in educating them and also sharing with them that nothing will happen. If anything, things will be better if they come forth and they can speak about what they've gone through. Thank you so much, Joy. I just want to introduce Faith, who is come has come back. So Faith is our newcomer into the UK G100 Global Networking community. And Faith is a digital marketer with 20 years of experience in fashion and food and sales and customer services sector. And she's also a philanthropist for the human good. She volunteers a time over 10, counting local and national, international charities and organizations such as the UN and Solace and other many other organizations. Faith comes with a wealth of knowledge in fundraising, policy, and campaign planning as well. So thank you so much for being here, Faith. Would you have anything that you want to share? So because we've come to you kind of like around the end, if I could ask you for like your global views on, you know, psychological and emotional violence against women, but also physical women and economic violence. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? I don't know. You can't. Okay, so you say it first. Thank you for having me, and I'm sorry I've been dipping in and out. It's my inexperience and not thinking that has made me do that. But hopefully next time I'll be much better. So psychological, first of all. So the psychological and the other thing you said, which goes together. I think where women, I think very much when a woman enters a relationship, it's very much with feeling, and men being less of the enter a relationship knowing, okay, let me see how it goes, but a lady will enter more with, okay, I'll go by feeling. And sometimes the other sex can use that to their advantage in terms of where they want to build the feeling for the woman that actually you're the one who is in the wrong, or you're the one who is imagining it. That in these circumstances where you're saying about the violence against women can then be unfortunately used against women, which those are maybe the beginning stages. But the latter stages where now we say, okay, we're entering the physical and economical abuse. From what I've learned from, obviously, we're working closely with the charities, and hopefully, I mean, I had a strong upbringing, but that did not mean that once I entered adulthood that I would say, oh, well, I wouldn't do that because that's not what my mom taught me. I think I was more of, I will actually test the limits and see where the limit takes me. Then I'll understand the power of a man. That was my thinking. But only now to understand that where now you enter in a relationship, for a woman is kind of a sacrifice, and the man too, but women sacrifice more because where they especially have entered motherhood, they will have to kind of rely on the fact that they're not completely in control of everything financially. And in terms of their strength, because their body changes, even before then, it depends on how your health is. It's kind of, if you're not treated like the glass china that you are, we say that everyone globally is a glass china, but when you enter in a relationship and you're not treated with that love, because a lot of energy is taken out in a relationship, then what will happen is that where violence is introduced, it's unfortunate, but that will cause trauma to anyone, anybody. So why it's very important to keep on voicing, obviously, about violence against women is because they are usually the first in the firing line. Sorry to put that way, but we know that globally it's not only domestically, but it's also in situations where it's a war zone and they've lost their houses. So it's a case of women are always there to protect their children, but without that covering and without that kind of opportunity for them to for them to be protected in a relationship, then they'll unfortunately be much more adversely affected. And the economic one, which is the last part, where they'll be affected even more, is when they leave a relationship, because economical abuse doesn't just stop there; it continues because of debt. So it's kind of a cycle, and it's up to governments to really put in policies, just like you had mentioned about the HR, enforcing the fact that there should be a policy how women should feel protected in their work. And I mean, most of my time in retail, I felt very protected because UK laws, at least we can say in the retail, they're quite stringent in terms of what harassment is, and there are very many levels that if it's the perpetrator, they have to go through to prove that they weren't harassing in the first place. So it's much more easier to get the target than in domestic life. Thank you, and I hope I made myself clear.
Absolutely, Faith. Thank you so much. I would like to highlight because it's very difficult to divide this violence, physical, psychological, and economic, and we are trying to do it because the United Nations invite to address it differently, because it's a word to order and give a structure. But we know, and Jitendra highlighted that from the very beginning, that one is connected to the other. And then when that's why in the campaigns, they invite us to identify this kind of violent comments, because this is psychologically that the time to time it comes, but this is the sign. So one of the campaigns here in Spain is just when they arise, just cut it. Just cut it, get rid of that relationship, because it started that way. So, and that way is connected with the physical, and the physical is connected with the sexual, and the sexual is connected finally with the economic. So thank you for bringing that. I from the very beginning, I tried to insist in having 3 blocks, different blocks, but I failed on achieve the goal, and maybe because we are giving a different analytic approach, isn't it, Patient and Belinda?
Yes. I think, like you said, like Vishnu also said before, everything is linked together, and it's really difficult to kind of like take one aspect on the side and not think of the other aspect. I can understand where Faith was coming from in regards of talking about, for example, women going into a relationship thinking that they are feeling protected, where actually they're going into maybe what can become later a difficult situation and challenge for them. And that challenge, I think that's one thing that I want to say in all of this, is that the challenge never stops. So it's not just one challenge and, we've dealt with it and it's stopped. It's one challenge, then it brings something else, and it brings something else. And often that can also break someone, it can break someone on the inside, it can break someone in terms of their mindset, their mental health, in terms of their physical health. And this is where I feel that maybe government are maybe lacking into supporting women in general, whether it is in the workplace, whether it is in politics, as I was saying before, whether it is at home in a domestic thing. I think there's a whole lack that we have in terms of women and violence, and we need to change this from now.
Also on that, on what in political violence in the political field for women, we are going to address it about what is women leadership. We are going to address it next week, also for 200, because we are giving a special importance, not just for the number of women that are leaders in politics, because sometimes they just replicate men, but when we really worry, it's about when there is violence, when they cannot say it because the environment is not enough safe. Belinda, please, your take on this.
Yeah, these forms of violence remind me of chemistry, when we were told to separate mixtures of certain things. So this form of violence remind me of a mixture of salt, sugar, and sand. It is easy to separate salt from sand, because if you mix that whatever with water, the salt will get absorbed into the water. It will make a solvent, then thereby you can separate. But when you mix sugar and salt, it is not easy to separate. So these forms of violence, you find that one form of violence lead to another. When someone shows you any form of violence, whether it's just verbal, know that that person is capable of doing anything. They're capable of sexual, they're capable of whatever. They are capable of sexual, they are capable of psychological, economical. So that should be a red flag. Do not ignore anything. Just as my sister Joy said, that you need to speak out and learn to say no. Women and girls, especially here in this part of Africa, we've been having a lot of femicide, and people don't know how to say no. Just learn to say no, and remember, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain yourself further. Just say no and stop at that. And then know your rights. Know your rights, know your rights, know your rights. Thank you so much. You're on mute. Patience, you're on mute.
Sorry. So as I feel like we've come to the end of the event. I'm not sure. I think we're missing economical from maybe Jitendra and Joy. I'm not sure if we kind of like went on that, because I went straight to Faith. So I don't know if you want, like, if we can just have like 2 minutes from Jitendra and 2 minutes from Joy, your point of view on how, in terms of economically, can we support and can we empower women as well to come out of the cycle of violence. I don't know who wants to go. Joy, do you want to go first, Joy?
Okay, yeah. In terms of economic violence, I would advocate, for women to be educated. It starts from education. And if you want to be liberated, you must be able to know why and how you have to go. Empowering these women economically will go a long way from, a long way in helping them overcome or stay away from such violence.
We have lost her. So,
Yeah.
so let's move forward. Jitendra, please. Well, you have a family, Jitendra, and this is also
okay.
part of everything. Now to have a family there.
Okay,
To
on
support
economic violence. But in India, we have a unique situation where a significant focus of domestic violence against women in India has been on dowry-related harassment. Dowry, I don't know whether it's prevalent in other parts of the world, but here it is the transfer of goods, money, and/or property from the bride's family to the groom or his family at the time of marriage, initially meant to provide funds to women who were unable to inherit family property. A dowry is very prevalent in India and it has propagated domestic violence as means to extract money or property from the bride and her family. This means there is no happily ever after. Even though India outlawed dowries in 1961, the centuries old tradition of the bride's family gifting cash, gold, and other expensive items to the groom's family remains rampant. According to a World Bank study, dowry was paid in 95% of marriages in rural India. Campaigners say new brides are often harassed for not bringing in sufficient dowry, and thousands are killed by their husbands and in laws every year. Most are burnt to death, and the murders are passed off as kitchen accidents. This is a very serious phenomenon in India, and I think here the government needs to step in because men and women or the father mother can do nothing on this. The girls' parents especially.
Thank you so much, Jitendra, for bringing this side as well. I think that's something often that we can't see, and I love the fact that we came from different countries and different continents even, is because we are all bringing different views, and we all bringing views that we wouldn't be aware of in another part of the world. And I think that's really important and crucial in this case. So we are almost coming to the end of the event. So I'm gonna pass on the mic to Ma, who is our global chair, so that she can give us some closing remarks about this whole event. And I think we're saying his closing remarks is just for this event today. Remember that there's going to be the event in Portuguese as well. So if you are from the Portuguese community, also join into that that conversation. Thank you.
And also in YouTube channel, you will see our last two events in the first and second part in Spanish, also for violence focus on what is Latin America. So this is our contribution. I will kindly, before that, I will kindly invite you both. We have lost Joe from Nigeria. We know that this problem of technical problems are part of our life. So just 1 minute of your message from Faith, that is an expert, for Belinda, that are living in their own life, that is coming from Kenya, from UK, and Jitendra from his vision from a man from India, a country that is highly conflict, especially for sexual abuse in women. We see that in the news. Sadly, we see it every week, something cases like that. So please, Belinda, 1 minute.
Yes, I'll actually take less than a minute. This is my parting shot. Wherever you are, whoever you are not alone. There are people to support you. We are here to support you. There are platforms like this in other parts of the world, and people care about you. Don't keep quiet, even if you're going through a lot. Learn to speak out, reach out to someone who can help you. There's always help out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Belinda. Faith, please.
Yeah, that was great, Belinda. Definitely I feel that the conversation should always carry on. You shouldn't stop from here. You should be able to talk to your parents, you should be able to talk to your friends. Also, your thing that you feel which again is what has
I think we cannot hear Faith, isn't it? She has problems with the sound. So sorry for that, Faith. Jitendra, please, your last minute remark.
Yeah, like I said, I will once again urge all men to get rid of everything. I mean, to take a pledge to get rid of everything that humiliates women in everyday life. And the Women Economic Forum India India is of course the headquarter. They should also take these issues with the Prime Minister, because these are very serious issues, and the focus should be on the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries will be the mass here. When the Dowry Act is amended, or the Divorce Act is amended, or women get freedom from narcissists, those things have to be tackled at the highest level. I think the Prime Minister and only NGOs, big NGOs like your Women Economic Forum can take an appointment with him. So I hope someday they take it up and things improve, because individuals cannot meet the Prime Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Jitendra. Patient.
Yes, I think I just want to add a little bit from what Belinda was saying. I think there is no shame, and I think we need to banish the shame. So when something is happening, whatever is happening, you have to basically take a space and take a stand, like you said, and really express yourself. Whatever you think is shameful right now is what could save the other woman. That's one thing. But also, I think that we need to also, as a community, be a little bit more active as well in looking out and reaching out to people around us. And what I said when I say this is like when Ma was talking about the statistic of the woman that can die basically from violence. When you think of it as a statistic, it can make not a lot of sense. But when you think of it like this person is your sister, this person is your daughter, this person is your friend, this person is your colleague, it takes another level. So I think we should just embrace that and be as vocal as we can on this subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Patient. Faith, you came back. Please, 1 minute for your. No, she's freezing. Joe, please, you can make it with your technical issues. Joe, your 1 minute message. Joe Amore, please, you are mute, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Well, we have a very difficult day. We have a starting the week in a very difficult way. But I think that the most important thing is the message. Joe is trying to reconnect. The most important thing is the message we could send. And for me, women, men, women, is very important, the role for the men on this. because when we had violent men means precisely that there are men going against women, but there are many men that are not going against women. It's a matter of logics. So if we could gather men that came together to protect women, is extremely important. We could do it from security and a security issue from state, then civil society, then individuals, or we could do it the other way around in a bottom-up initiatives or a top down, as you wish. But I think it's so important, individual action, women that are alone, so they gather in a group like this social media, networking, connected with other women, trying to send a message. Sometimes inside the family it's very difficult to address this issue, even if there will be people to support them. There are many social bias to do that. So maybe if they get out from the family is when they could get some help. Also, the state is not a gender equality. Please allow me to insist on that. This is not an ideological political issue. This is not political partisan. If there is an issue where there is most agreement on that, including countries that are not the best in the rankings on what is violence, even that they are having public policies, but sometimes they are not effective. That's why the civil society needs to reshape itself, restructure, and really connect to each other to see the solutions that could be available for that. And also I would like to highlight the power of something that maybe you could think that is a detail, but I do believe in details, to the capacity to transform. The details transform the biggest issues. So, and one is art. Art deliver a message and could reach many people. So don't forget that. Different professional experts on violence, security issues, governments, global institutions, but don't forget about art and about also the way, the artist way that we could create with our own hands a new word and a new message. I would like just to share with you a sculpture from Lorenzo Quinn that is precisely, he have done it to raise awareness on what is domestic violence specifically, and I really think this is worthy to show it and to show the beauty of how good intentions, individual one, could make a difference. Could you see it? So for me, I will pass the floor to Joe now that you reconnect now. Just my message is a woman in a nest that is about domestic violence, but you see that in the tragedy, in the dramatic situation, we also could rescue the beauty of art, and we are also only would be transformed. We could have a transformative action if we look at the beauty and not at the ugliness. Joe, please go ahead very fast, as it seems you are.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Oh, great. So, in order for there to be actual liberation or freedom for women, there has to be the political will to do that. There has to be an enabling environment for that freedom to be attained. I mean, if we do all we do and the environment, for example, in Nigeria, is not conducive enough or is not enabling enough, our actions will keep going round in circles without making any meaningful gain. I would like to advocate for, economic policies that seem to benefit the woman. In Nigeria, you have a situation whereby a woman cannot access a loan unless she comes with her husband, or a man that comes, all such, ridiculous, stringent policies, they need to be revisited. Those policies need to be revised in such a way that women should be given the free will to attain or to seek whatever form of economic resource that they really need to seek. And also in terms of violence, I will also call, in terms of physical violence, I don't know if you know, in Nigeria, the law does not recognize physical violence in an intimate relationship. Recognize it, especially the penal code, which is operative in the northern Nigeria, does not see anything wrong with a spouse, a man, physically abusing the wife. He doesn't see anything wrong in it. And I think that law needs to be repealed. The only thing he seeks to do is to enable physical violence within the home, and only goes to say the violence can only become violence if there's grievous bodily harm. And I think that is ridiculous in this age. That law needs to be revised. When it comes to rape, the Nigerian law does not recognize rape within the intimate partner relationship, within the home, in a marriage. The Nigerian law does not recognize rape as an offense. So it enables the male partner to sexually abuse the wife however he wants. So you do not have any redress in case you want to speak out. There is no conducive environment. If you go to the police, they'll tell you, oh, it's your husband. You need to be able to go sort it out. Nobody will come to your aid. So there needs to be the political will to be able to protect the rights of women. It's so important, because if we do all we do and the law still remains as it is, then there's a problem. There's a huge problem. So I advocate for better policies protecting the women, better economic policies that helps the women, to reach out to, get whatever economic resource that they want, to be empowered so that their voice can be stronger. Because even when you have a woman who wants to speak out and she doesn't have the economic resource, she's most likely subject to whatever comes her way. So that is my own 2 cents. Women should be courageous enough to speak out. You have to. It's a long walk to freedom, like Mandela, but it starts with a step in the right direction. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much. So I think now we will be going to Mark for our closing remarks. I'm sure there was so much more we wanted to say about the subject. As you know, we can't finish to talk about this until things change. So thank you so much, Joy. That was really good. I mean, a great contribution. Thank you, everyone. Ma. Oh.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.